to the second show of the jazz series. We're so glad to have you here. We're so glad to get started. This is a show that we started last year, and this year we have 6 shows throughout the year. Our first one was last month, and we had John Lee. This one, of course, is the Don Braden Ensemble. We are going to have the Big Swinging Big Band up in May, which is a band that me and my partner, Galen Cardello, run. Then we have Jonathan Blake in September, Alton Sinclair on October, and Sarah Hanahan ending it in November. So a lot of great shows. Hope to see as many of you as we can for all of them. And I'd like to introduce to you, my name is Johnny Giddings, by the way. I am one of the co-founders of the Jazz Series with Galen Cardello, who is not here today, he's on tour. But then we are also in partnership with the Wayne Public Library and Patty Slazak. So I'm going to introduce you to Patty Slazak.
Thank you. I'm so glad you could all make it today. It's a beautiful day, and then what perfect way to spend a Sunday afternoon and to listen to great jazz. We've been very fortunate to be in partnership with the Jazz Series and Our Lady of Consolation Church. I met many of you as you walked in the door. We are very hopeful to see you come to all of our upcoming concerts. You can attend in person or via live stream if you're unable to make it. We also now have a website that you can view the past concerts if you miss them, as well as interviews with the musicians who are performing. We want to make sure to thank our grantors, the Passaic County Cultural and Heritage Council. We are fortunate to have that as well. And back to Johnny.
Thank you so much. And again, we would not be able to do it possible without them. So again, thank you so much. If you do not already, please follow us on social media for more information on our upcoming shows. We are on Instagram and Facebook as _jazz_series. A lot of pictures and some of the clips of the interviews are posted on there. We also have, of course, as Patty said, the website is now up. It is www.thejazzseries.org. Check it out. All of Patty's interviews with the musicians who play here are on there, as well as past concerts and information on upcoming concerts and the live stream link. So please check it out. Finally, I'd like to finish off our thank yous. We have a lot of people that help us run these programs, including Father Michael Lombardo, who is the pastor at this church, Tori Trenacost, Phil King, and Brian Foran, who run sound and audio, and also a couple other people who would like to remain anonymous but have been an extreme help to our program.
Hi again. I also wanted to point out and thank Sydney Halpern from the New Jersey Jazz Society. She's been really instrumental, pun intended, for helping us. And many of the musicians who are performing today are affiliated with the New Jersey Jazz Society. I'd also like to thank our director at the Wayne Public Library, Ricardo Pino, for giving me the opportunity to help build the series with the church and with Johnny and Kalen.
Well, that's just about everything we have, except, of course, our introduction. So, without further doubt, please enjoy the Don Braden Ensemble. Give it up.
Ready? Yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2. Thank you. All right. How we doing, Wayne? How we doing, Wayne, New Jersey? Our Lady of Consolation. It is a pleasure to be here. I want to thank Patty for inviting us. It's a beautiful series, and it's a beautiful venue. This place is actually absolutely stunning. It's amazing. And we're happy to see you, and we need you guys as much as you need us, because it really, jazz is from our perspective, the ultimate win-win, or one of the ultimate win-win situations. And so we're going to go together on our little journey of music and creativity. We're going to make music just for you for this moment right now. Now, there is a recording, so you'll get to check out the result of it, but we're creating probably 80% of it right here, right now. So this space and your vibe first, the space, the sound, all of us working together, we're going to create a unique moment. Sound like a plan? Yeah? Awesome. Okay, so let me start first by introducing the members of the band. Put your hands together. On the piano, Dr. Oscar Perez. Oscar Perez. We all have our versions of mastery and whatever, but he's the one, he actually has the paper, which is cool. On the bass, Andy McKee. Andy McKee on the bass. On the guitar, David O'Rourke. David O'Rourke. And on the drums and cymbals, Mr. Alvester Garnett. And you know me, my name is Don Braden. So we opened up with a classic song, a classic R&B song actually, but we jazzified it as has been throughout the history of jazz. Jazz musicians take popular songs of various types and turn them into adventure, in the moment adventures. This was a Stevie Wonder song called Don't You Worry About a Thing, which you probably recognized. And I hope that we can have that emotion to whatever extent we're able to have it. The collection from which this song is my what I call Earth, Wind, and Wonder, which is my kind of specific collection of contemporary standards that I've been developing over a number of decades, I can say now. About 2 albums, Earth, Wind, and Wonder, Volume 2. And the Earth, Wind, and Wonder is Stevie Wonder and Earth, Wind, and Fire music swinging or grooving and improvised and all that stuff like we do. And so, in fact, for our next tune, we'll do an older tune. I should have looked up its history, and I didn't. Because we just decided to do it today, like 10 minutes ago, which is very jazzy. So maybe someone here probably knows. I'm going to do the tune I Remember April. Who knows what that was originally from? Anybody know? We'll have to look it up. So you have your phones put away. Keep them put away for now. At the end, we can do a little research, shall we choose. Anyway, it's one of the American songbook standards that jazz musicians have been playing for a long time in all kinds of creative ways. So we're going to make a version for you right now. We decided a few minutes ago to play it just for the sound of the song. That I picked it like, this has a sound that I like, a tempo and a sound. Beyond that, let's see what happens. Shall we? Yeah. All right, here we go. I'll Remember April. I'll remember April. That was definitely, and I played this tune 1,000 times probably, and I've never. That was definitely the hippest version. That was the hippest version. I mean, it was just really. Thank you for that. Wow, put your hands together, man. That's wow. That was really, really cool. Okay. Let me switch to the flute. We're going to do, go back to the Earth, Wind & Wonder adventure and do, this is a tune from Stevie Wonder's album, Fulfilling This is First Finale. And I have, as a leader, I have 25 albums, 25. The 25th one came out last year, live at Pizza Express in London with Joris Tepa, Dutch bass player. And we did a range of stuff, a live concert we did there, and we got a recording of it, which is really cool. But before that album, which is number 25, I have 2 Earth, Wind & Wonders, and this is from the second one. And from Fulfilling This is First Finale, this tune was a samba. So we decided to turn it into a waltz. So here is the waltz version of, and this is not Viennese waltz. If you want to dance, you can. But should you feel your waltzing chops are kind of like that, you know, go for it. But anyway, it's a jazz waltz, and this is Bird of Beauty by Stevie Wonder. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Thank you very much. So this next tune is another song that I wrote, and I wrote it some years ago. I have been very blessed over quite a long career now, having played with a lot of jazz masters. And I was at Freddie Hubbard for a couple of years, Tony Williams for 4 years, Roy Haynes for on and off for about 10 years, Betty Carter, the great Betty Carter, for a couple of years with her. Incredible blessings to have interacted with so many incredible masters. One of them that I got to spend 4 years in the band with was Tom Harrell, the great trumpeter Tom Harrell. And so in the middle of my tenure with Tom, we had a concert at the Vail Jazz Party in Vail, Colorado. Now, unbeknownst to me, when we got there a day early, and unbeknownst to me, it was at that time standard practice to recombine the sidemen of the various headlining acts into different groups and place them throughout the festival. So, we got there a day early, and I was excited because, most of us musicians who tour, we don't see anybody at home. Like in New York, we almost see nobody. Everybody, we see them on the road at the festivals and at this club and that club, and because everybody's too busy. When they're home, we don't go out that much because we're home and we stay home and chill and work and do what we got to do. But on the road, we're hanging and connecting with each other a lot more than at home. So I was looking forward to connecting with cats, and I was looking through the list and everything, and I said, oh, see, so Litchfield is playing, and Kenny Barron, he's playing at some point. I'll go see Kenny, blah, blah, blah. And then I saw this group that I was like, oh, wait a minute now. That's me there in this group. And they named the group for me, and I wasn't aware because I wasn't aware of this practice at the Vail Jazz Party. So let me ask you this, guys. What do you think, without asking me, they named my group, or a group that they named it for me, and I was the de facto leader. What do you think they named it without asking? What do you think they called it? Harvard. The Harvard Madmen. Nope, it wasn't Harvard. Dust, good guess. Dust was the nickname that Benny Golson gave me. He called me Dust. And so I called him, I wrote a tune for him called The Dust Kicker, because he saw me at the Village Vanguard with Art Farmer, another great gig I had. And Benny Golson was one of my mentors. And Benny saw me at the Vanguard. He said, Don Braden, you kick up a lot of dust on that stage. If you've ever been to the Vanguard, it's an older joint, and whatever, so you might actually have seen some dust, quite frankly. It's an old place, so it's all good. Anyway, so I was, into my thing, and all that. You see me move a little bit, so I was doing my thing, and Golson said, I'm going to call you Dust. He called me Dust, so I wrote a tune for him called The Dust Kicker, because I saw him play later, like a year later. Bro, there's a pot calling the kettle black. You kick up as much dust as I do. So we call each other Dust. It's pretty funny. Rest his soul, Benny Golson. Anyway, they call it the Braden Bunch. So I'm going through this list, and I'm like, oh yeah, Tom Harrell Group the next day at 8 o'clock, and Luther Back and blah, 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 and Kenny Barron, and the Braden Bunch. I'm like, oh, that's nice. Wait. Anyhow, so I came up with a tune for the occasion. I didn't have any music because I didn't know I was going to be a de facto leader. So I wrote this tune for that occasion, and this is called The Vail Jumpers. The Vail Jumpers. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. last note. You know, really. Here we go. Here we go. Not yet.
Not yet.
I tell you when. Thank you very much for the veil jumpers. Veil jumpers. Yeah. That's really fun. Put your hands together one more time for Alvester Garnett. Put your hands together one more time for David O'Rourke. David O'Rourke on guitar. One more time for Andy McKee on the bass. And one more time from Dr. Octor. Oh, we about to give you a superhero name now. Dr. Octor. Dr. Oscar Perez. Oscar Perez on piano. We're going to go back to the, return to play another tune, one more from our Earth, Wind, and Wonder repertoire. This is a Stevie Wonder tune. Actually, it's best known, the best known version was done by Michael Jackson. It's from the album Off the Wall, produced by Quincy Jones, who just passed, as you guys know, the great Quincy. This is, I remember the first time I heard this, I was on tour, and I was like, that is a really hip tune. And Michael's really hip anyway, because Michael's Michael, but I never heard him sing anything that hip, you know? So I was like, oh, that's kind of slick. So looked it up, and this tune turns out that it's like a jazz standard already, so I just have my own version of it, but I can't claim to have done anything in the original arrangement. Well, the arrangement's original, but I can't claim to be the first one to cover this tune, because a lot of cats know this one. It's a great one. So Stevie Wonder and Suzette Green composed this, and it's Michael Jackson made it famous from Off the Wall. This is called I Can't Help It. I Can't Help It. And we're going to feature Oscar out front on the piano, and let's see what he does, and we'll see where it goes. Thank you very much for I Can't Help It. All right, we got one more tune. One more tune to do for the day. Every awesome gig has to stop at some point. You don't want to stop. We're having an awesome time. I want to thank again this beautiful jazz series called the Jazz Series. And I'm going to thank Patty and Johnny and the team put your hands together for this incredible, beautiful event. And this beautiful church, fantastic, amazing, Our Lady of Consolation, beautiful, beautiful. And thank you to these incredible musicians. One more time for Oscar Perez on piano. One more time for David O'Rourke on guitar. One more time for Andy McKee. One more time for Alvester Garnett. Since the recording, I'll do a little, actually I should tell you a couple more business things. First thing is I want to thank my awesome instrument companies. Well, particularly Antigua, which is makes this beautiful saxophone. And this is called the Antigua Pro 1. I want to thank them for giving me great saxophones. I've got a few of them and they're awesome. So Antigua, everybody go buy an Antigua saxophone. And this is an Azumi flute. Also made by August, and it's made by Altus, which is Japanese. It's incredible. They're both great instruments. So just a little quick little ad for them. So put your hands together for the great instruments.
Yeah. The babies. What's the name of the gentleman they made them for?
Which one were you talking? Oh, Don Braden. Oh, I'm Don Braden. Thank you. They actually didn't make them for me, though. They just gave them.
They just didn't.
They fit me. Yeah. Let's see, just quick business things. Also, we have CDs. There are CDs for sale if you'd like to buy Earth, Wind & Wonder CDs. I've got a few here. I know all of you have working CD players, which you use all the time. So because of that, you should go ahead and fill them. Go ahead and fill them with CDs. And I think hopefully other cats have them. I know Oscar has a few. David probably has. So if anyone has them, I don't know, Lester has something. So Andy, I know everybody's got CDs or got recordings. So I encourage you to buy all of our, as Art Blakey used to say, please buy our CDs. God knows we need the money. Mostly because of the music, of course. But if you want to support us, that's awesome. That's great. You can find us online, streaming, Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, all that stuff. So you can find us, all our CDs there. We have YouTube channels, Instagram, Facebook. So please find us, follow us. Oh, my daughter, who's a marketing professional, follow, subscribe, share, engage, post maybe. I get a different one every time someone adds them too, so I have a few of them. But for sure, to whatever extent you can engage with us online and stuff, that's helpful to all of us. And you feel like the music is a win-win, right? The win-win, that's what we started the concert out with, the win-win situation, yeah? So that's connecting with us in that way in whatever format. Of course, come and see us. Of course, come back to this series. Great musicians. Patty's very dedicated to really presenting music in a beautiful way and promoting, and I really appreciate you. So one more time for Patty Slezak. Really appreciate you. And special thanks to the Jazz Society, of course. So put your hands together for the Jazz Society, specifically the New Jersey Jazz Society, of which I'm a proud member. Okay, so last tune. This tune I composed for the great Eddie Harris, great saxophone player. So if you don't know Eddie Harris, you got some homework. All right, your homework is to check out Eddie Harris online or whatever. He's great, one of the great masters. And so inspiring to me and very many other musicians. So I wrote this tune for him. And I'll tell you as briefly as I can how the elements. The first thing is the blues, right? That's in this tune. And Eddie Harris, so much of what he played, and so many jazz masters, the blues is inherent and woven deeply into the language of jazz at all levels. So the emotion and even something, the phraseology and also even form things. There's a lot of blues influence all throughout jazz. It's very essential to particularly in connection with the African-American roots, of jazz music. So the blues. Secondly is the groove, a very specific kind of a groove that they kind of pioneered, Eddie Harris and Les McCann. It's kind of based on the Cold Duck Time groove, which is a classic song, and I call it bossa funk. That's what I call it. So it's kind of like a bossa, kind of like a funk. You want to play a little bit of that for us, Alvester? You know what I mean? Yeah, man. I mean, That's bossa funk / Alvester hipness. All right, so blues groove. The perfect fourth interval is in there. And if you check out Eddie Harris really featured this particular interval. Maybe I'll have Oscar just play some linear fourths just so they can hear what the sound is. That's a specific sound. It's called a fourth because in the major scale, the fourth note of the major scale, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Right, this is the major scale. Da, da. That sound is, we call it a perfect fourth. It's because it's called that because it's the fourth note in the major scale, right? We're educating everybody here. You know, I'm an educator. We're all educators here, so we might as well give you guys a little bit of. And the last thing, though, that I borrowed from Eddie Harris, besides that, is the concept of the break. And a break is a nice short note after which something interesting can happen, shall we say. How about a B flat 7 on 1? I'm gonna give you 4 beats and then on 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 is a nice B flat 7.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. After that, that's a break. You hear that short note, then something after it might be interesting, might happen. All right? So now you got 4 things to listen for. You got the blues, you got the groove, you got the fourths. That should be the 4th thing. Actually, that's the 3rd thing. The 3rd thing is the break, which you just heard, and the 4th is the 4th. Okay, so here is Eddie-ish, okay, written for Eddie Harris. We're going to have Andy play something in front of this, and then we're going to get in this tune. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for giving us your beautiful energy. Really appreciate you. And thank you for the streaming listeners. Thank you very much, Eddie-ish. Thank you very much. One more time, Oscar Perez. One more time, David O'Rourke. One more time, Andy McKee. One more time, Alvester Garnett. I'm Don Braden. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Give it up for the Don Braden Ensemble.